I've stressed on the Buzzcast how culturally relevant the Savannah Bananas have become. Here's more proof. Selling out back-to-back nights at Fenway Park to a raucous crowd over the past weekend, and on Monday, the hardcore sports talk radio shows on Boston's most popular station, 98.5. From Zolak and Bertrand to Felger and Maz, talked about how fun the Bananas were and how their style and the pace of game should be a lesson to all sports, especially baseball. Interesting conversation on a hardcore sports radio talk show. Not sure we would have seen that just a few years ago. And this is your Morning Buzzcast for Tuesday, July 8th. Good morning. I'm Abe Madkour. Another major move on a college campus. Just about a week after Bubba Cunningham announced his transition plan at the University of North Carolina, another longtime athletic director is set to retire. University of Oklahoma's athletic director, Joe Castiglione, said on Monday he will retire during the coming school year. He has got such a history and an amazing executive tree. He has been a mainstay in Norman, Oklahoma since 1998. His retirement would bring an end to the longest tenured run for a current AD in college sports. You name it. Joe Castiglione has been a part of it. A great fundraiser. He's hired tremendous talent. There are disciples of Joe Castiglione throughout college sports. He also led Oklahoma's move from the Big 12 to the SEC. He's overseen 26 national championships. The softball program is one of the best in the country. And of course, he brought back or rejuvenated Sooner football. Castiglione will stay on as athletic director emeritus after the hiring of his successor. This will allow him to work on special projects at the university. He'll stay in Norman. We're seeing this emeritus title being used more frequently. You don't want to lose the institutional knowledge that these people will have. So, Oklahoma's president has named Randall Stevenson, yes, the former AT&T CEO who has leaned into sports. He'll lead the search for Castiglione's replacement, and of course, Joe Castiglione will continue to serve as the AD into this coming year while the search is being conducted. But again, another major change on campus among the ever-changing dynamic in college sports. The Kansas City Chiefs are growing their event business. So why is this important? Well, it's important because teams look to generate more and more revenue and increase their footprint. And the Chiefs are a strong organization and they see a business opportunity in hosting more events at Arrowhead. Here's an example. They will take the Cincinnati, Nebraska college football game next month, August. It'll be played at Arrowhead Stadium, and it will now be called the Battle Sports Kansas City Classic, and the Chiefs hope to make this an annual event. So the game is on August 28th, and the hosting rights were acquired by the Chiefs last year. And this will be the first game to carry this name under a new title sponsor. Battle Sports, it's a Nebraska-based company. It's a football equipment and athletic apparel brand. They'll be the title sponsor. Their goal is to reach youth football families. So they're putting their name on this game, and they think it'll be a great way to activate the brand. So right now, there are no future games scheduled under this new brand, but believe me, the Chiefs are actively working on future years. They see a real opportunity to draw more big-time college football games because of the growing revenue demands on campuses for athletic programs. And they believe Arrowhead Stadium is the perfect place, centrally located, attractive to schools in the Big 12, the SEC, the Big 10. It's a fantastic facility with lots of tailgating opportunities, and it's a revenue driver for the Chiefs. They really want to host one or two prominent football games a year. And this year's game, the August 28th game, will be on ESPN on the opening Thursday of the college season, meaning very little competition and a real spotlight on the Battle Sports Kansas City Classic, an inaugural football game, Cincinnati, Nebraska, At Arrowhead, you will see other teams look at this model and look to follow it. Let's shift to some baseball. As of today, the Tampa Bay Rays would be in the American League wildcard game. But here's what you want to keep an eye on. Where would the team play if they somehow continue to advance in the playoffs? The general feeling is that the Rays could play a wild card, potentially a divisional series at Steinbrenner Field where they're currently playing in Tampa. But remember, Steinbrenner Field, it seats just over 10,000 fans. So if the Rays advance to an AL championship or, the World Series, where would they play? It's an issue that the leaders at baseball's league office are working on every day. And if you were a Rays fan, how would you feel about losing your home field edge and accessibility if those games, AL Championship or potentially World Series, were moved out of Steinbrenner Field? Interesting opportunity, a story certainly to watch in baseball. Shifting to fantasy sports, Matthew Berry, he has long been credited with establishing real business around fantasy sports, and of course, he started Fantasy Life, the media company, a few years ago. And he left ESPN to go out on his own, and now he has announced $7 million in new investment. And he'll use that $7 million, of course, for operations, but he'll also launch a new product called Fantasy HQ that will be sponsored by Mike's Hard Lemonade. Why is this interesting? Well, look at the investors in Matthew Berry. The funding round was led by LRMR Ventures. That, of course, is the family office of LeBron James and Maverick Carter. But other investors, David Blitzer, Jeff Shell, Larry Fitzgerald, Jerry Cardinal, John Legend, and former YouTube CEO Chad Hurley, they have all put money behind Matthew Berry, and Matthew Berry believes he has a group of investors that are strategic and are helpful to what he is trying to build. Remember, Matthew Berry was ESPN's fantasy expert until he went out on his own in 2022. His initial round of funding was $2 million. And now he has raised $7 million in new investment for new product development that he'll introduce to the marketplace. Matthew Berry continues to be a leader in the fantasy sports space, worth keeping your eye on. You know, we've seen the strategy of networks paying what they need to pay to keep their best on-air talent. Other talent may not be such a priority, and it's clear at ESPN and in Bristol they want to keep the subject matter experts in the fold, probably less emphasis on generalists. And here's an example. Dan Orlovsky. Sources reported earlier this week that he is close to remaining at ESPN on a long-term contract extension, and the sources I've talked to shared with me that this deal is quite lucrative. Orlovsky's current deal was set to expire before this upcoming NFL season. We know how much ESPN stresses and prioritizes its relationship with the NFL. And Dan Orlovsky is an authority on the NFL, but he is also very versatile. He can do game analysis for NFL games and college games. He'll continue to be on Get Up and First Take, in addition to his full-time role on NFL Live, where he really shows his chops around the NFL. He joined ESPN in 2018. I did not see his rise to prominence happening so quickly. What he's been able to do at ESPN, quite impressive. And now he'll remain at ESPN on a new long-term contract extension yet to be announced, but coming shortly. I want to touch on a couple of things in case you missed it. First, check out former Raptors president Masai Ujiri's goodbye video tribute to Toronto and Canada. It was released on Monday, and it comes just about a week after his dismissal from the Raptors, where he has been such a prominent figure. It's nearly 6 minutes long, but the video is worth a click. It shows his journey in Canada, and especially the city of Toronto, connecting with various players, staffers, fans, dignitaries. Like I said, definitely worth a watch on sportsbusinessjournal.com. And finally, we'll keep our eye on the Allen & Company annual Mogul Retreat in Sun Valley this week. There's always buzz about the latest trends in investment, media, entertainment. You'll see the likes of Bob Iger and Jimmy Pitaro, Casey Wasserman, the biggest sports commissioners, all talking with tech and industry heavyweights in Sun Valley all week. It's always a fun exercise to see who's there and what they're talking about. So we'll keep our eye on that. And in this week's SBJ On Stage, a fun interview with the Jones siblings. Yes, Charlotte, Jerry Jr., and Stephen Jones sat down with me for a rare, candid conversation about leading with their dad and mom the world's most valuable sports franchise, the Dallas Cowboys. This was recorded at SBJ's Access Drive event last September, and the siblings dive into brand strategy, family fun, fan engagement, and how they're shaping the Cowboys' legacy for the future. It is a fun listen. So check that out on SBJ's On Stage. And that is your Morning Buzzcast for Tuesday, July 8th. I'm Abe Madkour. Thanks for listening. Stay healthy. Be good to each other. I'll speak to you tomorrow.